Jon Jones is back, and for the first time ever, he's fighting in the heavyweight division. But, as we all know, moving up a weight class in the UFC is no cakewalk. So from Jon Jones's wild fighting style to his insane heavyweight workouts, this is what Dan Hardy really thinks about Jon Jones fighting at heavyweight.
Flying knee, big elbow. Man, the elbows are the story in this fight.
Hardy recently shared his doubts about the move and says, the way Ciryl Gane moves is like light heavyweights did when Jon Jones was champion, the better ones. I think this is going to be a real challenge for him, and it's difficult to kind of picture Jon Jones in a heavyweight frame. What does he move like? What techniques has he abandoned? Those are questions everyone's asking. Gane is definitely ready for the fight.
We can just, be creative and have that image of what would be the night, how would be the night.
The Frenchman is currently ranked #1 in the heavyweight division, a spot he's rightfully earned. Back in 2021, Gane beat Derek Lewis to become the interim champion.
Can't get you with the big kicks and the big punches, he'll make you submit.
I'm feeling good, I'm feeling good.
But failed to hold on to the belt when Francis Ngannou returned to the octagon. Gane's defeat at the hands of Ngannou was very close. In fact, the fight remains Ngannou's only victory in the UFC. That wasn't a KO or TKO. For Gane, it's the only fight he's lost in his entire career.
For the winner by unanimous decision, and still!
Impressive, but definitely disappointing for the French fighter. Gane's story, though, is far from over. His impressive record will be tested in March, and this time he'll face the most successful fighter in UFC history, Jon Jones. But don't count Ciryl out just yet. He's got a lot going for him. He's a natural kickboxer, lightning fast, and extremely lean for a heavyweight. This is what Dan Hardy was referring to in his comments. Jones will face an opponent with all the pros of being a heavyweight, and none of the cons. Like Jones, Gane is a well-rounded fighter who loves to play tactical games.
He hurt him bad with that jab, man. He noticed it, he saw it, and he went and followed with that big elbow to the side of the head.
Even though the Frenchman came from kickboxing, 3 out of his first 5 MMA wins came via submissions. Imagine preparing to fight a kickboxer. Then on fight night, he shoots for a takedown and chokes you out. This is the same thing we can expect from Jon Jones. The original idea behind Jones's comeback was a fight against Francis Ngannou. But since Ngannou has left the promotion,
free agency is something that no many fighter in their prime, in their very top, has a chance to experience.
It's unlikely that we'll ever see that fight, but can you imagine how wild that fight would have been? Jones and Ngannou are 2 very different fighters, and Hardy thinks Gane might have a better shot than Ngannou at bringing Jones down. Hardy says, I almost think it would have been easier for Jones to take on Ngannou, because at least you know what you're getting. When he starts to move, you've got to get out of the way. But Ciryl Gane never stops moving, so you can't always stay out of the way. And we've seen Jon Jones get outpointed a little bit at times, especially by people that have got a good work rate and a long reach. But Jones is a born tactician, and he can handle anything fighters throw at him. Case in point, let's go back to 2011. Jon Jones faces Quinton Rampage Jackson for his first title defense. Rampage always had a reputation as a knockout artist, and was very much the Ngannou or Derek Lewis of his time. But Jones was prepared, and gave us all a masterclass in range. Jones kept Jackson exactly where he wanted him for the entire fight.
Rampage has not been stopped in the octagon. That's what Jones wants. Looking to do it right here. Looking to finish this fight. Quinton's trying to pry it off.
A few years later, when Jones faced Alexander Gustafsson, his game plan was much harder to design and develop. Why? Because at the time, Jones was more concerned with partying than his kicks. But also, Gustafsson is a very technical and creative fighter who happens to be tall and thin, just like Jones. The fight went the distance, and Jones called it the hardest fight of his career.
He's good. He's good to go. Okay, let's go.
Did you know that after the fight, both Jones and Gustafsson ended up in the hospital? True story. Clearly, that wasn't an easy night for the legendary Jon Jones. This is what Hardy means when he says that Gane is a tough opponent. While Gane might not be as creative as Jones, he's definitely smart, very fast, has the heart of a lion, and he'll be fighting in his own weight class. That makes a big difference. The UFC's weight limit for a heavyweight is 265 pounds, but Gane normally fights at around 250. That means Cyril isn't concerned about his weight. He just trains naturally and makes weight. Let's face it, the guy looks great, and he certainly isn't lacking any heavyweight power.
Wants to brawl, he never got a chance. Cyril Gane literally just outclassed him, even going into the fire.
Also, Jones has been out of the octagon for 3 years now, and who knows what he's been up to in that time. Maybe he's been working hard in the gym all this time, or maybe he's been lazing around, sipping Mai Tais on a beach somewhere. Who knows? And it's worth noting that Jones's last fight against Dominic Reyes was not his most impressive.
Oh, big shot. Beautiful kick to the body by Dominic. That was a hard round kick to the body.
For Cyril Gane, the 3 last years have been very different. Gane's fought 6 times in a very competitive division. Yes, Gane did lose one of those bouts, but that was against one of the most impressive heavyweights in UFC history. So, we've got to cut him some slack. The heavyweight title has no shortage of contenders right now. Many up-and-comers and established fighters are craving a title shot. The added pressure means that the fighting in the UFC's heavyweight division is at its highest level. And let's not forget, Gane has been consistently fighting at the top of that pyramid. All the while, Jon Jones has been missing in action. Jones is clearly stepping into an intense situation. The question is, will he be ready for it? To help answer that question, let's look back at the Jones versus Gustafsson match in 2018.
Why he beat me. From what I understand, what is found in my body.
Bones was coming back from a pretty long suspension after being caught doping, and when he returned, his game plan was much more effective. Jones says, Alexander Gustafsson made my face look like mashed potatoes, and then in the rematch, I fought him right where he was the best, on the feet. Alexander Gustafsson is the Swedish national boxing champion, and I fought him on the feet. It's more satisfying to fight somebody where they're strong, and to beat them at what they're good at. Jones thrives on having time to prepare. That's why he refused to fight Chael Sonnen with only 3 days' notice. That caused a huge upset in the UFC back in the day. Dana White called it a selfish and disgusting decision, but that's just Jones's style. He never walks into a fight unprepared. 1 year later, Jones beat Chael Sonnen with ease, but without all the time to prepare, who knows? Maybe the outcome would have been different. So maybe this 3-year hiatus was a good thing for Jones. Another thing that will likely help Jones when he steps into the cage with Cyril is his weight and reach advantage. Hardy says, of course, he's got the height and reach for a heavyweight. He could quite easily grow into a heavyweight, but then would he be the same fighter he was at light heavyweight? That's a question nobody can answer until the day Jones steps into the octagon with Gane. There you have it, fight fans. That's what Dan Hardy really thinks about Jon Jones fighting at heavyweight.